Hello, 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 and happy Wednesday to everyone. It's a beautiful May Wednesday, and y'all know that May is my absolute favorite month of the entire year. Not only is it Mother's Day, and does the weather start to be nice and warm and cool and breezy and beautiful and all those things, but it's also, of course, my birthday. Yes, it is the week of my birthday, and I'm super glad about it. But I don't share this week alone. Our guest today also shared a birthday this week, and we're going to talk about that in just a few moments. Of course, as always, I see that you all are tuning in. Thank you so much. Hello, Tamara. Hello, Sharon, Constance, and Waltina. Hello. Y'all make sure that y'all share this video. Make sure you share this live. Make sure that you are participating in today's discussion. I see that so many of you are already tuning in, and I'm so glad to have you in front of us today out there in the virtual studio audience. So today I have a special guest, one that if you are from Augusta, lived in Augusta, currently live in Augusta, heard about Augusta or anything else, I'm sure that you've heard the name Kendrick. More specifically, Mr. Steven Kendrick, who has been our tax commissioner, Augusta-Richmond County tax commissioner here for about 13 years, the last 13 years. And so if you've gotten your tag renewed, if you've had to pay your property taxes or had some questions surrounding that, I'm sure that you have come in contact with his office, either himself or his staff. And I believe that he's done a marvelous job, but I want you to make that decision for yourself when considering who to vote for in this upcoming and ongoing, actually, election. So I'm not going to delay tonight. I see that so many of you all are tuning in. Hello, Shabazz, Christine Howard, Alexandria, Natasha, Hadassah, Raina, Cedric. Thank you, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So without further ado, I am going to bring on my guest for tonight, Mr. Steven Kendrick. But before I do that, let's do a quick audio check. Can everyone hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I guess I probably should have asked that before I went to running off at the mouth. Yes, yes, yes. Perfect. Thank you. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up my guest for tonight, Mr. Steven Kendrick. He is a mayoral candidate here in Augusta-Richmond County, Georgia, the absolute best city in the state of Georgia, the best city in the region and in the world. Those of us who call Augusta home, please, please, please welcome Mr. Steven Kendrick. Good evening, sir.
Hello, and thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Just glad to be in the number yet one more time.
I am glad to be in the number. I am glad.
And speaking of being in the numbers, sir, one more time, I understand that you shared or you had a birthday yesterday. Is that right?
I did. One more travel around the sun. I was able to do it. And so I turned that ripe old age of 54.
54. Well, happy belated birthday, sir. I pray that you had a joyous day with your family and friends as you reflected on 54 years.
54 years. I'm reflecting, but I'm looking forward to the next 54.
I love to hear it. Well, you go right on and keep on keeping on, and I'm going to hold on to 35, which is what I'll be Friday, for probably the next 20 years.
You'll make 20 easy.
I appreciate you. You're so gracious, sir.
You'll
So, Mr. Kendrick, I want to jump right in, making sure that my viewers, the audience, knows who you are. Again, you have been our tax commissioner here in Augusta-Richmond County for the past 13 years. Is that correct?
I have 13 years.
All right. So give us a rundown of just what the tax commissioner's office has what opportunities that has afforded you to serve here in Augusta-Richmond County. Let's just kind of walk ourselves back.
For sure. So in 2008, I ran for tax commissioner and was elected that year and took office in 2009. And in doing so, for the next 13 years, I was able to apply a concept, a theory for excellence to that office. Most people, if they've been to the office, have seen it on our walls, that faster, friendlier, better service is what we were after. And we certainly had a great time providing that for citizens. The tax commissioner's office is primarily responsible for the billing, collection, accounting, and disbursement of ad valorem taxes for the governing authority, which is the city government, the school board, and the state of Georgia. We are responsible for, as I said, billing those things, collecting them, accounting for them internally, and then sending them back out to those 3 agencies that I talked about. And no time do those funds remain with us. They belong to those levying authorities to run the operations that they have, more specifically our county government, our school system, and then the state of Georgia. We do that and collect those in property taxes, as most people understand pretty readily, and also through ad valorem taxes that we collect on cars. Right now, we call them title ad valorem taxes. Those are paid in our tag offices. We have one on Washington Road in the Public Shopping Center, and also in South Augusta on Peach Orchard Road, in the corner of Peach Orchard and Rozier Road, in that shopping center there. Where we share a space with the Augusta Utilities Department. We've been doing that, I believe, successfully and efficiently, and providing outstanding customer service to the citizens since I began, and that shall continue for the foreseeable future.
Awesome. Thank you, sir, for breaking that down. As Grandma would say, so common folk could understand. The tax commissioner's office being one that, if you are a homeowner, you are familiar with. Also, if you drive a car, well, some of us ride dirty sometimes. I ain't pointing no fingers at Karen on, but if you ride legitimately, you got a tag on there. You pay your taxes and you get your sticker and your tag and all that carrying on. So thank you, sir. I have been in Augusta. Well, obviously I'm an Augusta native, so I'm born and raised and educated right here. When prayerfully, when I die, I'll be Augusta dead. I'm gonna be right here. So I have definitely come in contact with your office, sir, and have known through the years the changes that you've made, and most of them, as Christine Howard commented, have been nothing short of perfection. Some awesome changes. So thank you for all that you've done to enhance our lives here in Augusta-Richmond County for these at least last 13 years. So we know that you've been a tax commissioner. You are an Augusta native as well. Is that right?
Yes, I am. I was born and raised in Augusta. When my family, parents were, when they had me, we lived off East Boundary. I was born in Augusta Homes. They matriculated to the Hill, and I went to elementary school, middle school, junior high at Tut, and graduated from West Side. But I still consider myself a bottom baby. I was born in the bottom. My family still lives there. But I was raised on the Hill, went to West Side High School, graduated, went to Florida A&M University on a scholarship. Graduated from there, magna cum laude, went on to graduate school, received an MBA as well, and went to several jobs throughout the country. Ended up in Austin, Texas, and got recruited back here to Augusta to be a pharmaceutical salesman. And so I was in pharmaceutical sales for a number of years, along with working in a family business. My father's owned a business in Augusta for over 50 years called Augusta Blueprint, which is down in town on 5th and Reynolds. And most people would probably know them through the short run printing they do. And they are primarily responsible for the funeral programs that most of us see when we go to those times of bereavement at funerals, those nice funeral programs. Most of the time you look on the back and the bottom, you see Augusta Blueprint has done those, and those are designed and created in our family's business and have been for decades. Do a lot of other things in the community. I serve as a real estate agent. I'm a real estate broker. And I'm also a real estate instructor. I teach new licensees how to become real estate agents. And so I have a class, actually one that starts at the end of June. My next class will start at the end of June. And I've done that for several years. College professor at Payne College and Augusta University. Just have done a number of things as work. And then I'm very community involved. I've started several youth programs. Youth Leadership Augusta, I started 20 years ago. Also started Project Impact, which is a program for at-risk males. And now we have one for females as well. We do that twice a month. I have a foundation called the E3 Foundation. That's at e3augusta.com that details all the different programs I've been doing. I've had that foundation since 2007. And so my community activity has been ongoing for a couple of decades as well. I enjoy that type of work. And I'm just proud to be in Augusta and proud to be able to try to give something back.
Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate you highlighting how not only you are an Augusta native, that you are a son of this community, but you have committed your life to serving this community in more ways than one. Not only as an elected official, which means that the community and its members elected you to hold an office, but just because of who you are and who you're made of, you've decided to give of yourself freely throughout the community for, as you've mentioned, decades. And that means a lot. For me personally, when I think about people who are, coming into the political field and are, asking for our vote. I don't want to know what kind of money they got, what background their finances are in. Although, of course, you need to know how to manage some finances, especially in most political office, right? But I want to know, what have you done for us before you come knocking on my door? Before you start blowing up my phone with text messages and phone calls, can you break down and tell me and show me what you've done for our community, for my peers? I don't have children, but for my loved ones' children, for the children of my family. And it sounds like, sir, you've done a great deal of that, not just since announcing that you're running for mayor, but for the past several decades. So thank you for being a community servant and not just an elected official. That matters.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. So now that we've talked about a little bit of who Mr. Kendrick is, Steve from West Side, and my condolences that you were a Patriot and not a Bulldog. I am a Butler Bulldog. I'm so sorry, sir. You also mentioned, of course, most of my viewers and audience know that I sing a little bit of everywhere, especially at funerals. And you're absolutely right. You mentioned your family business, your father, Mr. Kendrick, Senior, Mr. Kendrick, and Augusta Blueprint. That Kendrick stamp has been on a lot of obituaries over the past several decades as well. So thank you also to your family and all that they've done for the community. Mr. Kendrick, why do you want to be the mayor of Augusta-Richmond County after all that you've done as a tax commissioner for 13 years, all that you've given of yourself to the children, both male and female children, all of your project impact efforts and so forth? Why now want to be the mayor of this city?
And that's a great question. And I think for me, it's about how do you generate what you've done when you always want to do good for your community? How do you expand that reach and touch as many lives as you can? As tax commissioner, I've been very successful. I've had great opportunities to do things in our community, but our community is still suffering. Our community still has some inequities. Our community still has problems that it needs to solve, whether it's homelessness, whether it's poverty. We have issues within our school system and student achievement. We have economic development issues that need to be fixed. All kinds of things need to be addressed. And yet the scope of a tax commissioner, even one that does much in the community, is going to be somewhat limited by the ability of that reach and their appropriateness on whatever issue that's at hand. As a mayor, as someone who is elected by the community at large, you've been asked to lead and provide vision and provide opportunities for our city to see something better, to have hope. Communities that don't have hope won't prosper. And I believe that as mayor, I can provide a vision and hope for a community that says, if that young man can do what he's done for the programs he's been involved in, for the office that he's run, perhaps we can finally find someone who can do something that is beyond just the talk that happens. I don't belong to any organization, have led no organization that I have provided just talk. Every organization that I touch, they do better. And nothing different will happen with the city of Augusta if I am at the helm providing the vision and leadership. I'm going to make sure that our citizens see an improvement in their own individual lives. It may not be what everybody wants in the beginning, because what we understand is everybody wants something different. Some people want more economic development now. Some people want more infrastructure fixes now. Some people want more affordable housing now. All of those things collectively have to be brought to the forefront. And I'm the person who has the right experience and qualification to make sure that happens for everybody. And so I want to be mayor because I want to provide hope that we can finally realize some of this potential we've been talking about for 30 years. That potential can get realized by
Mr. Kendrick, thank you so much, sir, for that. I love that you've included just about all of Augusta and this vision for a better Augusta, right? A lot of times when candidates are running for, especially mayor, but also commissioners and commission seats and board of education and so forth, it sounds like their plans are limited to a certain area of Augusta, the underserved, bottom or downtown Augusta, or the city, the heart of the city, and so forth. I'm a South Augustan. I've always been a South Augustan from elementary through right now. I still live and reside and love South Augusta. And we are going to get to some of the questions that I see are being posted. So I will save a part of our segment for those questions directly from your constituents right here in Augusta-Richmond County. But you mentioned the talk of 30 years of this progression plan, what we're going to do, what we need, and all of this. Why do you think that so much has stalled out, especially in some of the other areas of Augusta that seems to be deprived of a lot of the resources that we do have, specifically here in South Augusta, where a lot of folks are continuing to migrate? Not everybody's going to Grovetown. Some people are still coming out here to South Augusta. And so why do you think that it's taken so long for some of these plans to materialize?
Well, I think, interestingly, there are a number of reasons as to why we haven't achieved some of the vision and goals that all of the citizens and residents want. Some of it has to do with our decentralized and our structure of government, in which we have a strong commission which allows many, many visions for people's particular areas. It is harder, not impossible, but harder to coalesce around a vision when communities are concentrating, or leaders are concentrating on the community in which they serve, and that community in which they serve is the individual priority. It makes it a little bit more difficult to have an overarching vision that provides opportunities for all our particular areas. Fortunately for us, a mayor is responsible for advocating for all. So whether if you're Brandon Garrett in District 8 or Jordan Johnson in District 1, the mayor represents both of those as well and can provide leadership and focus on that. Now, you've mentioned South Augusta in particular, and there's no doubt that we have much to do as it relates to economic development in the South Augusta. I don't mind saying that could be restaurants, retail, that could be expanding the sewer system out further so some businesses who can't locate there now can locate. That could include any number of attractions that we want to bring there. But you have to have someone who not only understands that it needs to happen, but understands how to make those things happen. It doesn't just happen because someone says, I want economic development. It has to happen because people understand what are the things that go into making an economic development project work. Do you need incentives? How many incentives do you need? Do you have the right property? Do you have the right land? Are all the necessary elements for the recruitment of whatever organization that you need there, are they in place? Is the information readily available? Are we recruiting for that area at all? Many things go into that. I currently am involved in many projects that are going to go on in South Augusta. They're going to probably pop this year. There's going to be a steakhouse that's going to South Augusta this year. We are working on it. It's a national chain. It's going to be on Deansbridge Road. And we're currently working on that project right now. That project had not come into fruition before because all the necessary people weren't at the table and the pieces weren't in place. But I understand how to bring that together. And so what we're doing is talking with the developer, talking with the national chain, finding the right incentives so that we can see if we can draw them to our community and begin that catalytic effect so that all of that growth can begin to happen. And not just South Augusta. We need to do more in East Augusta. There's a food desert there. There's infrastructure problems. We need to do more in West Augusta, even though everyone thinks West Augusta is overdeveloped and has much more than the rest. If you go over on Washington Road, if you've been over at the Whole Foods Shopping Center lately, there's 5 empty spaces there. The thought that over West Augusta is where you have to go to get dinner, no, that's migrating to North Augusta. That's migrating to other places. And so all of these areas need consistent attention and growth. And I'm going to provide that kind of attention and that kind of sophistication that's required to make sure those priorities get done and working with the commissioners on those particular districts.
I really love that. It is all areas of Augusta. There are many areas that we know growing up in the night. Well, and I say we because I'm a little younger than you, just a couple years, sir.
Yes, sir.
You got me on a couple of years.
Couple.
But in in my upbringing, the '90s more so, right? The '90s, the early 2000s, mostly all of our shopping happened in West Augusta and so forth. Most of our fine dining and eating happened in West Augusta and so forth. And so I think naturally most of us already have in our minds that, all of the development in Augusta for the last 15, 20 years have occurred in West Augusta. And so we South Augustans will probably sometimes sound a little biased when we say we need more growth in Augusta because, we've always just went over on that side of town.
That's
But
right.
you're absolutely right. When you think about the Whole Foods shopping center, there are a lot of vacancies over there right now, and of course, we know that the Augusta Nationals has done a field day with buying up properties up on that side of town, but a lot can still be done. So, thank you, sir, for that. I want to take just a quick moment though, because I think that not enough of my generation, my peers, and colleagues even know exactly what the role of mayor is based on the charter and so forth here in Augusta-Richmond County. Can you just take a few moments to break down what exactly what responsibilities and roles does a mayor hold in a government like ours, a consolidated government like ours, and what can he do and can he not do?
So it's very interesting that our charter gives the mayor very specific authorities. Most notably, he is the CEO of our government. He manages the meetings. He is responsible for assuring that all ordinances, laws are upheld and made sure that when we adhere to all of those. But culturally, we have grown to believe that the mayor's office is one that has no power, no ability to have impact, that it is a commission that has that impact. And that is usually thought of, or people draw that conclusion from some of the very commissioners and the mayor who works there themselves. I'm of the belief that power and authority has a lot to do with the personality and the person who's there as well. Many of you know some of the most powerful people don't have the direct authority to make things happen, but they find a way to do so. Our mayor, while he may not have direct authority, certainly has enough influence to make sure some of the things that we want to happen. And it is responsibilities to be a chief advocate, a salesman for our city, make sure that we are properly represented, make sure that we are continuing to be at the top of the list when communities are discussed for major economic development projects, but be a beacon of hope for our community so that when we feel good about ourselves, that is exuded other places and it becomes a part of our own psyche. See, part of my problem is I have with what we do is we're our own worst enemy sometimes. We tend to be down on our city. And a lot of people come to Augusta and say, this is such a great place. And they don't understand why we don't appreciate what we have. Our low gas prices, our low cost of living, our less than heavy traffic all day, our incredible weather, a fort with many robust job opportunities, a healthcare system that's second to none in our community. Many people look at that and say, why would you want to live anywhere else? You're 2 hours from the beach, 2 hours from a major city in Atlanta. All kinds of things are available to us. And yet sometimes we find ourselves being critical of ourselves. I think we can improve on that. I think we can change our own psyche, but some of it has to come from your leadership to provide some hope. People want something to believe in. People want to believe that we are there to serve them and say, hey, things can get better. And I want to be able to provide that for the community.
I love that. Thank you so much, Mr. Kendrick, for your insight on that, and also breaking down the role of a mayor. We've had, now Mayor Davis. What is it? 8 years?
7.5.
7.5 years, going on 8 years. Before him, was it Deep Copenhagen?
Deep Copenhagen for 9 years.
Bob Young.
Bob Young for 7 years.
So we've had these mayors in these roles for well over almost a decade, and just about each of them have held that seat for almost a decade, right? And every time it's time for us to elect a new mayor, right? We're flooded with so many candidates. And I'm always looking and peeking through to kind of see which name stands out to me, right? I don't always know everybody, but our traditional mayors, when I say traditional, all the mayors for a long time didn't always look like us, African American folk, right? A lot of our city government officials, judicial system, and so forth didn't look like us. And so I think that a lot of people just automatically didn't feel that we had a seat at the table. Now we probably can say that African Americans are the majority in most of our government here locally. And I'm not saying that to say that, we have to have, black folk running stuff around here, but I'm just saying that that times have changed and our government and the way that it looks have changed. But then also so much of our city has changed, and not all for the better. You raised a great point about what all Augusta has to offer and how centrally located we are in the region. But we've seen a lot change here, which when I'm scrolling through Facebook, I'm seeing, a lot of things happening, a lot of people suffering. Kelby, thank you for joining the discussion tonight. Kelby Walker, I see, brought up a great question, and really an issue that so many of our loved ones right here in Augusta-Richmond County are suffering from, affordable housing. We've seen so many projects torn down over the past several years, and even more are being planned, right? What as city government, what can be done, and what is your plan and vision for working with the commission and the city leaders to address affordable housing here in our community?
So I can tell you, I'll just start by telling you what I did today. And
Okay.
so I think, so what I think is so important, and I'm going to pivot for a second. I have a very unique experience in that no mayor has come to this seat with the background that I have and the ability to start day one working on your problems. So you ask about affordable housing, I'll tell you what I talked about today. And so I was introduced this morning by a phone call from a commissioner who asked me about the affordable housing project that supposedly that was going on at Sibley Mill. Sibley Mill is right on the outskirts of Harrisburg. It's right next to the Boys and Girls Club and the Croc Center. Sibley Mill had an affordable housing project that was noted on Channel 6 News as having begun, and the city was infusing $650,000 in cash in that project. That project started because I took the housing director over there to meet the developer owner of that space, so that we can continue to talk about how do we do a balanced approach to having market rate housing, but affordable housing as well. Certainly most people already understand that we can't build a community and pay our bills only on affordable housing. There has to be a balanced approach. But this developer was interested in doing a market rate project in which the rents would be normally at what the market could pay her, was interested if he could be provided some support in doing something in the affordable housing realm. That happened because I was able to bring him to the table with housing. They did an application last year. That application for the low to income tax credits was not approved, but they're placing that application in again, supplemented by the cities joining in the project. And we're pretty hopeful that we're going to get that project of 65 units right there on the canal of affordable housing right there. That's one project today. Secondly, I sat with a developer who came to see me today about a project that he's working on, in which again, he has a market rate product that he wants to put downtown. But coming from the background that I have and understanding that we as a city can lead and provide an opportunity for these folks who want to come in and develop in our city, but they want incentives to incentivize them, but only if they do something for us as well. And so an affordable housing project was proposed as well. You want the incentives, and we need the market rate project. Don't get me wrong. We need that growth. We need to spur economic development by having hundreds of people live in a downtown area, because when hundreds of people come, restaurants come, stores come, daycares come as well. But we take the opportunity when given that and say to the same developer, we can provide you that incentive and we can help you with that market rate product, but we need you to do it as an affordable housing project or workforce housing project as well. Thus, the conversation has begun to do just what I'm talking about. While you're building a market rate product that serves the majority of us, you provide an opportunity for those who are least amongst us to do better and get a hand up as well through that market rate. And so when you ask about affordable housing, I worked on 2 affordable housing projects today. Not only that, I'm working on a choice neighborhoods project in which we're going to relocate the folks from Allen Homes. We're working on a transformational grant. We're going to relocate them. Allen Homes, in case you didn't know, was built on an old chemical plant. It sits next to a 6-track railroad. There's high tension power lines and Gordon Highway. Who wants to put people in that kind of environment? So we applied for a planning grant. We got that grant, and we're now writing a transformation plan to relocate the Allen Homes residents to somewhere within that native area that would still be the Laney Walker area, and build new and mixed use housing. Mixed use would be affordable and market rate in the same space, so that they can live a life somewhere with new homes, still under the housing authority, but able to live life differently than they do at that development. That's what I do about affordable housing today. While running for office, while trying to get my new job, I'm still working for the people on affordable housing projects. That's just today.
I almost said, preach, black man, preach. Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much, Kelby Walker, for your question. And I see that a couple of questions are continuing to pop up, and I'll continue to kind of bring those in here and there. Definitely about the homelessness that's plaguing our country, not just our community and our city, but our country. And I know that Commissioner Jordan Johnson, Francine Scott, a number of them have a couple of boards and committees that they're a part of that's addressing that. But what can we continue to do and expect to be done from our local government with a Steven Kendrick as mayor going forward?
So this to me is a two-phase problem. So let's deal with the actual homelessness issue. So first of all, we're not going to eradicate homelessness. It's going to be impossible to do. As it is and how society is, there are always going to be people who come into situations in which they're going to be displaced, and those times make it difficult for them to actually have somewhere to stay. But that doesn't mean we can't be better than we are. Better coordination between our social service agencies is necessary. Better coordination with our government. More attention and awareness is a primary part of it. And I think we're doing great with that. The city of Augusta created a homeless task force led by, as you mentioned, Commissioner Jordan Johnson. They put together a homeless task force plan that deals with a number of issues as it relates to providing help and support to the social service agencies that deal with homelessness already, providing some wraparound services for mental health and things like that. And awareness is the first step in making sure we deal with this issue. 2 years ago, it wasn't on the tips of our tongues every day. This awareness alone provides us an opportunity to steer and push resources towards something so that our community can feel good about trying to lessen that homelessness, pit, and provide a safety net for them. Now, I mentioned it's 2 phases. The reason homelessness happens a lot of times is because of the joblessness that is created and the inability for people to have jobs and the poverty that goes with that. I mentioned to you, if I didn't earlier, Augusta is 24%. It's a community that has 24% of its residents in poverty. In the African American community, that's even higher than that. The state of Georgia's average is only 15%. With those kind of numbers, we're going to have issues with homelessness because we have just that many people that are within poverty. Our school system has over 90% of the kids on free and reduced lunch. They're all Title I schools except for 2. You get to be a Title I school when your school is indicated as poor. That means most of our community students who go to school get free and reduced lunch because the parents that send them there aren't in a position to be able to pay for lunch every day. That's something we have to work on. And that comes with creating better jobs, creating better educational opportunities for our people and training opportunities. It's a holistic approach, and we're not going to fix it overnight. But somebody who understands that all of these elements and pieces have to be worked on and given the right people who are able to pay attention to it, I think we can slow down the homelessness, increase in homelessness that we have. I think we can improve the lives of people who aren't employed fully. You know, it doesn't work if mama's got a part-time job at Popeyes and a part-time job at Walmart. Those two together don't equal health care most of the time. And so what we have is $10 an hour here, $12 an hour here, nobody home with the kids, no full-time health care, half a car, can't get transportation to get to the best job they have. We've got to figure out a way to fix all of that together. And I'm someone who's been involved with it and who continue to prioritize it. That's what I think the job of the mayor is bringing that awareness, bringing those tools and resources, and really just advocating for the people.
I love it. You're spot on, sir. We all have a cousin, a friend, a homeboy, homegirl that have just their reality is just what you just described. Working two part-time jobs and it still isn't enough to maintain. And a lot of times when people don't have, other folks say they ain't worked hard enough to get it, right? But we know that the realities that we are living in today is that you can do all that you can to keep your head above water and still drown. And it's going to take, I believe, a collective system that's created to lift us up. And it's going to take a vested interest of all of us, you know, because I can flip a few light switches in my house, you know, without worrying about how I'm also going to eat a meal, doesn't mean that my next door neighbor isn't suffering in that way. And I need to be committed to at least helping them get the resources that they need to get them better. And I think sometimes folk think it got, you know, when other folk get to, you know, needing and we get to helping folk, they get to believing that it got to come from out your house. No, sometimes it's just encouraging other folks and bringing them to the access of the resources that are available. And sometimes I think that a lot of our folk just don't know what's available. We always talk about what folk don't have, but sometimes they just don't know. So, you know, people perish for the lack of knowledge. I ain't preaching because I ain't licensed. So I'm gonna leave that to the Reverend folk. But I also
Amen.
wanted to, yes, sir, I'm gonna pass the collection plate a little later. So a lot of people have also been talking about, and you just mentioned jobs and so forth, how last year, right here in in the region, Amazon, real big national chain, you know, that's throwing up fulfillment centers all over the country, all over the world, opened up in our backyard, essentially, but not in the city limits of Augusta, not in Richmond County. And a lot of folk are saying things like, you know, Amazon is a great employer, I think it's the second largest employer in the world or in the country now, but they're out in Columbia County. They're out in Applin, Georgia, right? Most folk who would really benefit from a job like Amazon, a warehouse job that starts at a minimum of $15.50 an hour, have great earning potential, great benefits, and so forth. They don't have transportation to get out to Applin. Some of them can hardly get from downtown to South Augusta and vice versa without transportation. So, you know, how do we in Augusta bring more of those type of employers that could definitely benefit our residents? And how is it, if you know and if you can say, how is it that we missed out on the opportunity, if we did miss the opportunity, to have them right here in our hometown?
So I'm excited because there's a lot there. So first, let's deal with where jobs are and how we get people there. So Amazon looked at Augusta. We looked at them, and our development authority did not heavily recruit Amazon to our specific area. What they wanted in incentives was so dramatic. It was so much, you know, Columbia County, I think, spent $12 or $13 million on the road to get it there. They spent countless numbers of dollars to get them that space. While at the very same time, while they were doing that, I went to Germany and brought back Arubis, which is a metals recycler, which is going to break ground on June 16th, which is going to be a $400 million investment, whose jobs are going to start at $30 an hour, not $20 an hour. And that's right here in Richmond County in South Augusta in Corporate Park. See, all that shines and glitters ain't gold. And while Amazon is a great name and it's a great opportunity for those who want to do fulfillment, what the kinds of jobs are going to be created at Arubis are going to be career jobs that are going to be there that start at, as I said, $30 an hour. At the same time, we already broke ground on Pure Cycle. That company is coming to Augusta's corporate park as well. It's a $500 million investment. It created hundreds of jobs as well. And it too is going to pay jobs that start at $30 an hour. Again, it's not an Amazon name. And so it doesn't get from the media the same attention. But if you live in Augusta, Georgia, and the type of job you want, and there are going to be some great jobs at Amazon, so don't get me wrong. But the types of career jobs that you really want are the jobs that we're going to be able to provide with these companies that are breaking ground and building those plants in Augusta, Georgia right now. We do that type of recruitment all the time. But you know, Augusta, Georgia, a lot of us, and we understand it, we're the stepchild sometimes in the community. People don't expect a lot from us, and so we don't get all the great attention for the things we do great. We have great job opportunities from corporate clients in Augusta that are available and going to be available and will continue to be available. I just advise people to be more deliberate about looking and understanding what's really going on in that regard. Let me tell you about what happens when a company goes to a place like Columbia County instead. The ability to get people to work is a problem in Augusta. If it wasn't Columbia County, the park I'm talking about is off of Mike Paget. It's going to be far and hard to get to that as well. The real problem there becomes with extending our bus system and being able to provide opportunities for people to get to those jobs. But guess what? If you make $30 an hour, you may not need a bus system. We're trying to create jobs that make it to where people can be self-sufficient. We don't want to create a job that we tell you that creates it for $15 and you might get 18 and you need the bus to get there. We want to pay you 30 so you can buy your own Honda. That's the kind of development we need in Augusta. We need jobs that are upwardly mobile for people to create families. We need a mama and a daddy working there making $30 an hour, both of them making 60 grand a year, a $120,000 household. That's the kind of jobs we need in Augusta so they can live in Augusta and pay taxes in Augusta and help our city grow. So I can tell y'all real quickly, Richmond County over the last 20 years didn't build enough new single family homes. So our tax base isn't growing. We give the incentives to get the companies in Augusta, and then the companies come to Augusta and the people come and work at the jobs in Augusta, but then they go home to Grovetown, they go home to North Augusta and take that disposable income with them. It's a double whammy. So they buy a house over there and they pay taxes over there when we gave away our tax dollars to get the company over here. That double whammy has us spiraling out of control cost-wise, because as costs go up, we're not bringing additional revenue. So we've got to find a way to get the people to live here by providing them the kind of jobs and providing them the kind of experiences and the kind of home inventory so they can live in this place and keep those jobs here. And I'm working with people on those ideas. I'm the first person to bring this problem to the forefront, that we're giving the companies the money here, which we're supposed to do to get them here, but realize they're not living here. They're going to live somewhere else. Our region has 650,000 people. Augusta's region, our metro market, our TV market is a top 100 market. But the counties around us are the ones that's growing, not Augusta proper. And while our region growing is important for us all, for our own psyche, it's important that we grow too. For our own books, it's important that we grow too. We've got to get income in our government so that we can pass the tax burden across to many more people, so that my burden and your burden doesn't continue to have to go up. And I'm the man to go in and get that fixed.
Listen, you know, at some point you're gonna have to get licensed if you're gonna come over on my show and preach. If you're gonna be a preacher man. But I love it.
We got to tell the story. We see, people don't know the story. I'm a teacher. I teach college. I love to tell people what's really going on, because I need their insight and experience to help solve the problem. It's not one man's problem, one man's burden to solve it. You need everybody to understand, to tell the story, to understand the narrative so that we can start to fix what's wrong with us right now. And so somebody's got to tell the story. So I've been preaching this story. I tell people, as many people who's heard it before, but we can do this. We don't have to depend on others. We can fix our own issues if we get the right people in place.
That's right. Tell the story. Yeah, tell the story. And so many times you mentioned that we fail to realize when we get to reading through these comments on, you know, some of the local journalists or lack thereof pages and programs and stuff, and how they are quick to bash Augusta-Richmond County and every opportunity they get, but they forget to tell the story. Thank you, Rebecca, of how a lot of those residents of Columbia County, like you said, Mr. Kendrick, they come and work, shop, play, eat, fool around in Augusta-Richmond County, and then they drive on up the road to their Columbia County residence and sit up on a hill with a piece of a driveway and throw stones at Augusta.
Well, you know, let me just share this, and I point this so everybody can kind of get how this works, and it's real quick. So we bring the companies here, and they work here, and we give them the money. Look at our road system and look what we do with our roads, and it's a telling story.
Yes.
If you know what Riverwatch Parkway is built to do, it's built to do one thing. It's to bring people from Columbia County down into our downtown to work. That's the only thing it serves.
Yeah.
If you look at Dias Parkway, that didn't exist. You know, I'm an old school. I remember when Bel Air Road was almost a dirt road and you had to drive up Bel Air Road to get to Bel Air. There was no Dias Parkway. But guess what? That Ford is where the jobs are. So all of a sudden, we figured out a way to get the people from Columbia County to Fort Gordon. It serves no other purpose. If you look at the 13th Street Bridge, did you notice that they widened the bridge? They got lights all on it. Only thing it does is get the people from North Augusta down to the hospital.
Ah.
So what about the people in South Augusta who got to go through 25 traffic lights just to get down to the Red Lobster to turn left and wait at the light to try to get to the hospital? Where's their freeway? Where's their way downtown? We figure out ways to find the affluent communities opportunity to get into our town, grow it, and then go back out. When are we going to make it for the people who live here, a way for them to get downtown easily and get to work as well? Those freeways create a story for us, and it tells a story that we find it important to make sure others get in our community, use our resources, drive on our roads. Because guess what? The more they drive on those roads, we pay. All those lights on Riverwatch Parkway, we pay for. All of that happens out of our tax dollars, and they go right home to their nicely manicured lawns next door and spend their dollars in the Publix, not on Washington Road, but the Publix on Furious Ferry Road. Come on now, we got to do better than that.
And they go in that Publix and get all the chicken and steak and food and no seasons. It's a mess. It's a mess. Put no seasoning on nothing. Ooh, I done got upset. Thank you, sir. You're absolutely on target, and I have much respect for anybody that can just tell it like it is. And you, sir, painted the picture and told it just like it needed to be told. So many times, Grandma would say, "Just tell it like it is," right? And that just means that we ain't got to sugarcoat it. You know, I am of a generation where we don't do well with sugarcoating and chaser. A lot of my generation, we don't like chasing. We leave that to the police. So we like it straight. Give it straight up. And I think that most of our viewers today are appreciating that. I'm sorry, y'all know I couldn't hold it. Yeah, they ain't seasoning no meat out there, Mike Gibson on the line. Thank you, Mike Gibson. Also Michael Myers, thank you, sir, for joining and tuning in tonight. So many of you finding it not robbery to check us out. Mr. Kendrick, you have raised a few extra points that probably deserves a few more conversations around it. So I'll do my very best to cram it all in. But in regards to the partnership between, Augusta-Richmond County and Columbia County, Aiken County, North Augusta, and so forth, how do we continue to do the work here at home that assist us with bridging the gap between our other neighboring governments? Because is that necessary? I know that we have a lot of work to do right here at home, but is it necessary to foster a working relationship with our communities, our neighboring governments?
So it absolutely is, but it requires a mutual respect. And I'll be the first to say that we don't often get the respect we deserve just by being a peer and an equal. Augusta is the heartbeat of this region. Nothing ain't happening without the hospitals in Augusta, Georgia. Nothing's happening without the air. You can't move that airport out of Augusta, Georgia. You're not moving the masters. You're not moving these key elements here. So respect is required. But sometimes that's not given. Sometimes it's easy to look at what we're doing and look and make fodder of what we do. That disappoints me often. A lot of the criticism from Augusta, if you read on social media and you listen to some of the local radio, those people don't even live here. You talking about my house when you live in your house next door, and it ain't perfect. That's something we got to work on and make sure we understand that if we're going to work with them, we got to make them respect us, but we got to do what we're supposed to do and have the sophistication to make things work. That doesn't often happen sometimes too, but the working together collaboratively across those barriers called county lines is important for the overall growth and health of a community. Augusta, Georgia can survive without those counties around us, but they'd have a hard time without having Augusta, Georgia. And we need to make sure that is reminded to them and our influence is properly respected. But we got to do the right things and do the work as well. We got to increase our sophistication and understanding and ability to know what's good for us. We got to make sure we partner with them on projects that advance the region as a whole, because Augusta gets uplifted as well. All those things are required. And I have a great relationship with the leadership there to make sure that we continue on a pathway that's positive for all. It's entirely important that we all do well together. But it's hard sometimes with somebody who say, I don't really want to be with you. A girlfriend, I don't really want to be with you. They don't really like Augusta till they need Augusta. Augusta. I mean, that's really what happens. And so sometimes we have to make sure that the respect is done across in both ways. And I believe that can happen. But when we do better and we get to show excellence all the time, somehow those things get fixed. When I got to the tag office and I got to the tax commissioner's office, some of y'all remember he was waiting outside. The sun was hot. The facilities were poor. It got no respect. But when you provide excellence to the people, that respect comes. And so if we work on providing excellence in everything we do in government, providing a blueprint that shows that we're always going to be on time, deliver service, and do it right, they have no choice but to respect us. It changes things. And so I'm in belief that when we get our own house in order, it forces them to adhere to what this new reality is, which is Augusta's in charge.
You can drop the mic right there. When you said that they have to first respect us, and then Rebecca chimed in and said, "Put some respect on Augusta's name." I almost got a little hood. I was about to bank head bounce, and I was about to throw up, some signs of care, because we are Augusta. Young, old, black, white, rich or poor, we are Augusta, and this is home for so many of us, and we really do care. And so many of our younger generation now are becoming, more aware of local government, of politics, of causes, and how our vote affects us right here in Augusta. Not all of these elections for president affects us in the same way as just your county commission, your tax commissioner, your sheriff. And so we're starting to put the pieces together and figure out just how informed we need to be before going and running down to the polls. We can't just rely on grandma and them to tell us who to vote for. that day is over. And so thank you for painting these pictures vividly so that we all definitely understand. And you're right on target. I saw a question a little while ago, and I don't want to miss that. It was a great one. And I believe that it was Gold Cross. I see that Christine mentioned what about the contract with Gold Cross? I know that our local government is under fire in a lot of different media outlets in regards to some of our EMS contracts or the EMS contract because of response times and all that kind of stuff. And I know the pandemic didn't make a lot of that work better, but what insight do you have regarding how we get emergency care in our city?
So the short story is Augusta doesn't control the EMS zone. Gold Cross won the EMS zone, and the law says that Augusta technically doesn't owe Gold Cross any type of supplement in order for them to perform the services that they do. However, Augusta, in working with Gold Cross in the past, has decided that they will provide a Gold Cross a supplement to take care of the indigent patients who are sometimes in the need of emergency care. What has happened lately is Gold Cross has reapproached Augusta about potentially increasing that supplement, that subsidy, so that they can continue to meet what they say to be an oppressive obligation of indigent care with rising costs and fuel, rising costs and everything. They're asking for an additional supplement. And some of our commissioners are reluctant to provide that supplement, fearing that this payout will send a message that other companies can come in and do the very same type of thing without providing the type of data that they need to ensure the commission that it is needed. I don't have much in the details as it relates to whether they should or shouldn't. I have not been privy to the information that some of the commission has as it relates to how it works. So I'm reluctant to pass judgment on whether we should or shouldn't increase that subsidy. However, here's a great example under my leadership what would happen, because I'm a worker. I'm a digger, and I need to go in and understand more information about what's going on to provide the citizens with the proper type of answer and provide our commission with the proper type of answer so we can know, do we need to supply Gold Cross with this? They very well may need the exact thing they're asking for. I'm just not sure all the information has been collected. I believe they're working on it. I believe a resolution is coming, but I could not offer an opinion as whether or not they should have the contract or not yet, because I just don't have enough information.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. That's absolutely fair. In my opinion, Christine Howard, I hope that answered your question. I gave you a little bit more insight. Sounds like to be determined once we get more information, once Mr. Kendrick is able to make a more informed opinion. Let's see. Augusta has 2 men's shelters. There are no women's shelters for the women who are homeless. Augusta have several empty buildings that can be utilized. What can be done to make sure our women are sheltered and safe and not living in their cars? This is an urgent matter. I'll let you chime in on that, Mr. Kendrick, but I did formerly work for the Department of Family and Children Services, and I do know that there are a great number of resources that are available. Not a whole lot, but we do have a good number of resources in our region, at least, especially for women. It's usually the other way around. Yeah, so it's usually that there's more shelters available and housing available for women, especially women and children, and not for men. So that's usually the more the apparent need usually is for more men, and then so you'll find that they're usually more likely to be homeless without resources than women are, especially women with children. But Mr. Kendrick, I'll let you add to anything on that before we move on, if you have anything else to say on that.
Yeah, I was going to agree as well. I had always been led to believe that women and children have a much easier opportunity in finding a shelter in those families than do men. Now, that doesn't mean that something hasn't evolved in this rapidly changing area of our community. But government's role, she mentioned the homes that are available. Government's role is to help the social service agencies do their job. Government shouldn't be managing shelters. The last thing you want is a bureaucracy with 3,000 people, and it's as disheveled as we are, trying to take responsibility of a shelter that may have a family in there. They may have people with medical issues. They may have people with mental issues. You don't want your government doing that. You want professionals doing that. And so government's role is to help those professionals do better at what they do. And what they're trying to do with the Homeless Task Force is find ways to supplement and help those agencies like the United Way and the Red Cross and those type of things do those very types of things.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. You're absolutely right. Shantreese, thank you so much for joining the discussion. Clarissa Green said, great interview, very informative. I love, I'm very selective, Mr. Kendrick, in how I utilize and share my platform. This is my platform. And I've done the work to get the support that I now have and I enjoy today. And so I'm not telling nobody how to vote, right? I want to give people the information. I want to make it plain for the people and give them all that I can give them to assist them in making an informed decision. Right now, we have early voting going on, and I believe that Rebecca put up the statistics a little while ago. I think she said it was only about 7% of registered voters in Richmond County have currently voted early. I'm not sure of the exact figures, and I didn't pull that up. My apologies. But how do you think we're doing with early voting? Is enough people taking advantage of that? Could we do better?
Oh, this is a record year for early voting. We have voted early voting by this past Monday had already doubled last time's early voting. This is unprecedented early voting numbers. Now, I believe the early voting is happening because of the voter suppression bill that happened last year, and our folks making sure you're not going to stop me from getting done what I need to get done. I don't know if the final count is going to be more than what it was in 2018. The election in 2018, there's about 26,000 people who cast votes. We have over 130,000 people registered, so that's an awful percentage. But in a May election, it is difficult to get people to turn out. However, early voting numbers are skyrocketing, and that's not just in Augusta, that's across the state, unprecedented. But I believe it is mostly because our folks fear that opportunity may be taken away, and they're not taking any chances. They ain't standing in the line and being told they can't. They're not going to be sitting there and saying they can't drink their water. They don't need no water because they can drive right in now. You ain't going to give me a biscuit on the outside. All of that stuff don't have to go on right now because they can walk right in the door. And so I encourage everybody, you got 2 more days. If you haven't told somebody today, get on your text message and tell somebody tonight, go vote tomorrow or Friday. Don't wait till next week. It's much easier. You can go to Henry Brigham Center. You can go to Diamond Lakes. You can go to Warren Road or the municipal building. You don't have to worry about precinct, any of that. You just walk in, you just vote.
Just vote. Just vote. That's the message that I have for the people today. Just vote. That's all. I want folk to realize just how important it is for us to get out and to vote, to allow our voices to be heard. But not only that, there's so many things that we can have if we just go and tell our folk that we want it. So just vote, and then just continue to be involved in the process. I don't want to just vote for a mayor, Mr. Kendrick. I want to be able to reach out to my mayor, because if I vote for you, I feel that I have a vested interest in your office and the success of our community, right? And so I want to know about, what's going on. And if I gotta scratch my head, I need to feel that I can reach out to you, Mr. Kendrick, and say, hey, Mr. Kendrick, I don't understand, how this is, playing out or what's happening here. Can you explain that to me? I want to know that you're available to give me that. Are you available to the residents of Augusta-Richmond County if they afford you the opportunity and privilege to serve as their mayor?
I absolutely would certainly want to continue to be so as I am now. But I can tell people now it's going to be difficult to do in the type of way in which people are going to ask. When you give people hope, when you are invested in them, you want a part of the experience. And just as tax admission, I can tell you the countless of people who call each and every day wanting to talk to me, but they don't really need me. I got a staff of 52 people that could really, really help you, but they always want to talk to me. Well, you imagine you turn it into a job like the mayor, you're going to have countless people every day that have a problem and say, well, I elected him, so I should be able to talk to him. And some of them probably will. But I can promise you that it's going to be difficult if it mirrors what normally happens for everybody to get all the time they need. But that means we got to set up a system in the office that allows constituents to be heard and feel like their problem is being solved. What I'd rather people do is invite me to your church to talk. Let me talk to everybody at the same time and not have to come down to the office and try to talk to me. Invite me to the cookout when Boo Boo having a birthday party. I'll eat crab legs too. Can I come to the cookout and sit in the backyard and let's talk about it at that time and provide the opportunities, because it's going to be hard to get down in the day and get down and get an appointment. Just invite me where you are in your social circle, and you start right after I win. You don't have to wait until I become mayor. You can call me the day after and say, hey, Saturday, we having a fish fry. Come on by. And trust me, I went to a few last weekend. I'll come to yours as well.
All he asks is that you season that fish. Mr. Kendrick, I have definitely enjoyed an opportunity to connect with you. I'm gonna remove both of us from the stream and play just a few clips of your videos. They are very short, so if you all would bear with us for just a moment, and then I will afford you, sir, the opportunity to close us out with today's benediction, if that's okay with you. We've been going for about an hour, so I'm going to play just a couple of your commercial videos and promo videos. Of course, I have shared the link for your website, kendrickformayor.com. So I want people to just go out, do your continued research, share this video with your friends, your family, your church members, and so forth. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I like to tell folk, like my grandmother used to say, the writing is on the wall. So hey, go for what you know. Make your best decision. Make it count. And like Rebecca said a little while ago, don't just vent. You're gonna have to go and vote. You're gonna have to do that. So I'm gonna play our videos, your videos, Mr. Kendrick, and then we'll come back with you and you'll close us out. How about that, sir?
Great, thank you.
My name is Steven Kendrick, and I'm running for mayor of Augusta. My vision for Augusta is an East Augusta that has better drainage and less blight, a West Augusta with more green space and less congestion, a downtown Augusta with better lighting and parking, a South Augusta that has better restaurant options and more retail, and a cleaner Augusta for every week and not just 1 week of the year. But this isn't just my vision, it's yours, and I'm committed to our shared vision. I'm asking for your vote on May 24th, and with your support, we can make a difference day one. The Waffle House. Yes, I like the coffee, but I like the routine and the visit. It's how I was raised. Getting an early start on your day is something I learned from my parents at a young age. Growing up, I got to watch and be a part of the family business that has survived and sometimes thrived over the last 50 years. The lessons of discipline, honesty, integrity, and frankly, how to treat employees and the public were laid there, and I utilize those lessons every day. You don't survive as a small family business for 50 years unless you learn a little bit about people, what they want, not just meeting, but exceeding their expectations. My philosophy for customer service and serving the public started in this family business, and it's the foundation for my work at the Tax Commissioner's Office. Providing faster, friendlier, better service is not just a slogan to me. It became an identifiable goal and then a part of our office culture. I have a vision for providing that very same formula for the city of Augusta. Augusta can raise the bar and raise our standards on how we operate, And I believe our employees are up to the task of exceeding expectations for service, professionalism, transparency. But a consolidated vision and plan is needed that shows we understand our community's differing needs. Whether East Augusta, South Augusta, West Augusta, or downtown, all of our collective unmet needs have to be addressed. And required will be leadership that is focused on the now as well as the future for our next generation. For the past 30 years, we have heard Augusta has great potential, but at some point we have to stop talking about potential and start focusing on that potential becoming a reality. This reality requires that you have a collective group of leaders who can move forward in the same direction together. I've demonstrated that I have what it takes to lead organizations and teams. Whether it is our local tax office, our economic and downtown development authorities, the local Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Augusta, or Leadership and Youth Leadership Augusta. I have a track record of being chosen by residents and my peers to lead and provide vision, and I want to do that for Augusta as well. Working as the tax commissioner for the last 13 years has helped me to understand a lot about Augusta, its residents, its government, and its needs. That experience has given me the skill set needed to advance the city, and that's exactly what I plan on doing. I know that government can work with the right leadership, the right priorities, and with the support of my community, I can make a difference day one.
Wow. I was about to tear up a little bit over here. That felt like a what was it, 2008 moment with Barack Obama. We was all glued to the screen. Awesome video, by the way, and it highlighted so much of what we as Augustans love about our community. Young, old, black, white, indifferent, other, whatever. There is so much to love about our community, and I wish you well on your journey to the Marble Dome, or whatever we're calling it now. I think that you have done a great job of illustrating just what it would look like, what Augusta would look like with Steven Kendrick as our mayor. And I think that you've done the work throughout the years to ensure that you're prepared for such a role as that. Again, I would suggest all of you who are still viewing and watching to continue to do your research. Reach out to Mr. Kendrick. Check out his website, Kendrick for Mayor. There's a couple of more clips on there. One that's so cute with his mom. For the sake of time, I'll just leave that as a cliffhanger and y'all go check it out. But Mr. Kendrick, close us out with a message to the audience of the Tyrus Tillman Show and the residents of Augusta-Richmond County, sir.
Well, I'd like to first thank you, Tyrus, for always being an advocate for the city, for welcoming me to my show, to your show, to provide citizens and residents just a little bit of insight into what I believe in. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Citizens need to do their research. Research the candidates. I am perfectly fine if someone does the research and they figure out that I'm not the candidate that shares the beliefs, that has the qualifications, that has the experience that they think is necessary to lead this city. But you should check your candidates out, check their backgrounds out, check out what they believe in, check out what they do. And do they do what they say? Do they believe in something, or do they fall for anything? I'm here for the community. I will provide hope and a vision for this community. In 10 years, we won't be looking back and saying what could have happened. We'll be looking forward and saying, boy, that's been a great 10 years. And I ask for your support. I ask for your vote. I ask for you to get on your text messages as soon as you get off here and go to my website, send people the link to my website, garner, rally. Let's see if we can get this done on Tuesday.
I love it. Thank you, sir. And you're absolutely welcome. Thank you for agreeing to join us tonight. Thank you all for tuning in, for being busy in the comments. Interactive discussions always work best for me, where we all kind of share our input and participate. So, Mr. Kendrick, again, good luck to you, sir. Again, you know that I have considered you a great inspiration to the community and all of your community work and so forth. Knowing so many members of your family and yours the same, or you knowing the same of mine, have just given me the privilege to see all that you've done for us. And I appreciate you for that. Thank you so much for that. And I look forward to a continued partnership any way that I can be used, any way that the Lord see fit for me to be used in the Augusta-Richmond County region. I want to continue to be able to do just that. So again, sir, happy belated birthday. My birthday is going to close out this week on Friday. I have a comedy show this Friday. Y'all make sure y'all come out to Icons with myself, comedian EJ Rogers, also DJ King Kong Greg Roberts, over at Icons on North Leg. 2 shows, 7 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. Tickets are still available at eventbrite.com. You can go to tyrustillman.com, click on happenings up at the top. It'll take you directly to my Eventbrite page, and we're going to have a good time. Comedian Sir Cedric has already secured his ticket, and he's going to be in the building as well. Francine Scott, Commissioner Francine Scott, just joined in as well with a comment. Difference day 1. Vote May 24th for Steven Kendrick for mayor. Augusta-Richmond County, we do it best, better than best, and we are better than better because we are the best. Thank you, sir, again. Thank you all, and y'all have a great evening. Thanks again for joining in and tuning in to the Tyrus Tillman Show.